The new John Wick documentary reveals that the franchise was nearly ruined by a pesky studio note in Wick is Pain. Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves unpack the evolution of John Wick from an independent film that nearly crashed and burned to the genre-defining epic the series is today. As much an ode to creativity and action as it is a behind-the-scenes documentary, the film digs into the practical pitfalls of filmmaking. This includes the challenges that develop between directors, producers, and studios. Where Stahelski and the co-director of the first film, David Leitch, wanted movement and texture inspired by anime, and a deeply human grief to ground the film, producers needed a film that fit their limited budget and stood a chance of making that money back. In a conversation about the risk of killing off the adorable puppy, an obviously inescapable taboo for the film's premise, Stahelski and Reeves discuss a note about killing off Yosef being too cold. After dazzling efficiency and kills that thrill, John unceremoniously walks up to Yosef and shoots him at point-blank range before walking away. With that note, there was an additional suggestion that, per Stahelski, we have to find out that his wife was poisoned by the bad guys to justify Yosef's execution. More than a cliché, that note misunderstands what's so captivating about Reeves' emotional performance, and the work the film does to make Helen, as well as John's grief, feel real. Some things about John Wick are classic. Stahelski and Leitch are open about their love of classic action, from the films of Akira Kurosawa to the Chinese wuxia films that inspired The Matrix. Doing the traditional thing is enough if you elevate it or challenge the circumstances that audiences have come to expect. From the genre staple of a nightclub sequence to gun work infused with mixed martial arts to a cool kill suit that adds to world building, not just the rule of cool, John Wick just does that. But perhaps the best example of this is Helen. When the film opens, a badly injured John rolls out of a nearly totaled vehicle. In what could be his last moments, he takes out his phone and watches a video of Helen and himself together. Yes, Helen is smiling on a beach, something of an action cliché. But as the film unfolds, John's memories of Helen are more dynamic than the standard dead wife montage fare. The warm light of a beach day or date night gives way to the stark white of a hospital. Helen died of natural causes. John was by her side through a long illness. Daisy, the painfully adorable beagle puppy, arrives with a final letter from Helen. Now that I have found my peace, find yours. And John seeks to do just that. This is what sets John aside from other action protagonists and their dead wives. Emotion isn't traded for empty virility. We are steeped in John's grief. Audiences come to know Helen through John's memories and the photos, videos, and various items that remind him of her. John Wick is a certified wife guy in Helen's life and her death. As the film's lore and violence expand, the foundation of the series remains love and the resulting heart etch. In a world that feels more akin to mythology than standard American revenge films, Helen, and John's love for her, feel exceptional because of Helen's humanity, and that includes dogs being a sort of avatar for Helen, especially Daisy. The success of John Wick is as much about its emotional exploration of grief as it is about revenge for Daisy's death. The killing of Daisy mirrors the death of Helen. Neither are a hollow gimmick for the sake of shock value. In Wick is Pain, stunt performer Cale Schultz recounts a questionnaire handed out after an early screening of John Wick. The first question was, "Do you think the killing of the dog justifies all this death?" I remember the men were only on board at about 60%. But like 98% of the women were like, "Kill 'em all," because they knew it was not about a dog. Making Helen and her marriage to John a grounded, relatable love story that exists outside the confines of too often misogynistic tropes made the film resonate with a wider audience. With the suggested rug pull, John's time away from the assassin underworld would mean far less. It tarnishes the life Helen shared with John and retroactively neuters his grief. It removes the vulnerability necessary to make John more than a vessel for bullet-riddled power fantasies. John Wick works because it subverts the lazier execution of fridging, women facing harm or death as motivation for male violence, that erases the woman who died for the story entirely. The three films that come after aren't just rehashing the tired trope of a man lost in revenge. John wants to go home. John wants to mourn Helen and keep his promise to her.